How are
Uh,
you?
I'm super good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I was feeling a little under the weather after WrestleMania, but today's like the first day I've felt pretty good. So
Oh, that's good. WrestleMania was insane.
yeah, I had a lot of fun. I think it was like my third or fourth time in LA, but I actually got to kind of stay in LA this time instead of just passing through. So it was pretty
Oh,
cool.
okay. Yeah, that's awesome. What night did you enjoy
I
best?
I went to night one. I flew in Wednesday night, but I only went to night one because I had to fly home and I had to be home Sunday night.
Yeah.
But the entire show that I saw was incredible. Like, never felt, you know, like it was boring or any kind of downtime. And I was saying to somebody that I was there with, I went to SummerSlam too, and that one, like, just sitting there felt like it was just minutes of video packages, and it was like, all right, get on to it. And this was just
Like action
there
packed.
was a flow to it the entire night. Whatever they did different was great.
Yeah. I kind of feel um night one was, I don't want to say the best, but I enjoyed
Yeah,
night one a lot.
yeah, yeah. I don't want to put down night two, but
No, me
just
neither. Exactly.
uh
Night two was great too.
yeah. I'd ask normally what you've been up to, but you have been busy. Since we've seen you on WWE TV, you've been on a television series. You have a new sponsorship. I saw you're becoming a avid outdoorsman,
Yes.
hunter. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll get into that first. What appeals about hunting? How did you get into it?
So hunting, my godfather was an avid hunter when I was growing up, and then I just obviously like sports was really my main focus. So I never really got to go on a hunt with him. And then because Jonathan and we moved out to Texas in 2022 and or 2021. And I really started like the conversation of kind of wanting to know exactly where our meat and everything came from. And that's kind of like where it kind of started to blossom. And then because of social media and the pros of social media, I had become acquaintances with Cameron Haynes for many years. And then he really kind of sparked an interest in me to go out on a hunt. And then, luckily enough, I was able to go ahead and do that this season and got my first elk um, out in New Mexico with Montana Knife Company. Josh and his wife Jess, it was her first hunt as well, and it was a wild experience. It was so amazing just because uh, you go through so many emotions. Not only do you have to be physically fit because you're dealing with different altitude, you're hiking, it's heavy terrain, and then also you have to be ready and prepared so that you make the most ethical kill, of course. And luckily enough, I was able to make that happen and fill our freezer full of elk meat, which is pretty freaking awesome. So then when people come over, there's just like a different feeling when you're actually cooking something that you went out and got with your bare hands, essentially.
Yeah. My mom does it too, and she's like, "Oh, I'm going to the butcher." Like, not all the time, because
Yeah,
getting a trophy, I'll call it a trophy, but getting
sure.
an animal is rare. It's not as often as people might think it is. But she's like, "Oh yeah, I'm taking it," and then they like fill it for like an entire winter, and I'm like, kind of like taken back, like, wow, that you don't realize how much not only work goes involved into the hunt itself, but how much you get back in return when you're doing it that way, the right way. You use the entire animal.
Oh my god, the entire animal. And in anything, like even with mine that we got, not only did we use the entire animal, but even the parts that you wouldn't essentially like eat, I ended up using because I have a Belgian Malinois, and she likes bones. So, she gets a nice treat as well. So you're really providing not only for your family, but you're using essentially the entire animal.
All right, there you go. Now I see you're wearing your gear. You have
I am.
a new brand partnership with Tier. I always knew traditionally as a swimwear company, but they've branched out into fitness gear. Just tell me how that partnership came up, why it's a good fit for you. No pun intended on the fit.
Yeah. Um, so it actually was one of those things where I do feel like everything that has happened in my life, including like WWE, Total Divas, and then even my latest sponsorship with Tier, God put me in the right place at the right time. And I was in Austin, Texas. Jonathan and myself, that we're with Rain Total Body Fuel, which is a monster brand for an energy drink. And we were out there supporting one of our teammates, Thor Bjornsson, which is the world's strongest man, in 2018, 19, and 20. I believe he's actually going back to compete this year. He made his announcement, but we were supporting him because he was going to break another record at the Rogue Invitational. So we went out there to support him because it's all about team. Anything that I'm a part of, I'm all about that camaraderie, supporting one another. And because the event was in Texas, Kellen, our GM for Rain, was like, "Hey, Thor's competing. Y'all, why don't you come down?" And so we're like, "Oh, of course." So we went out there to meet up with Thor and his wife, Kelsey. And so we're watching, and plus I'm a huge CrossFit fan as well. And so we're watching the event, and it just so happened that Kellen is also, all brands kind of, they know one another because they're at the same events and things of that nature. So the CEO, Matt and Corey from Tier, amongst some more of the Tier crew were there as well because they were watching their athletes compete in the CrossFit Games or in the Invitational. So we got to meet them and then started talking. Loved their vibe. I knew them actually from swim as well. Like just growing up, it was just like Tier was the shit. Like that's what you would see from like swimsuits to competition to caps. Like that was just how I knew them as well. And then obviously watching the CrossFit athletes, I started seeing Tier and I was like, huh. And then I got to meet obviously the CEO and then Corey, and they were amazing. And then I got a pair of shoes, a couple of pair of shoes. I got a pair of lifting shoes and they're runners and they're cross trainers. So I got 3 pairs of shoes just off of kind of shooting the shit. And it's all about kind of, I like to vibe with anybody, I want them to want to partner with me and so that it's, goes both ways.
There's some synergy.
And exactly. So I didn't really think too much about it. And then obviously wore the shoes when I was working out and I was like, oh damn, these are dope. And then conversation just started from there and got some gear, workout gear, and fell in love with it. And I was like, let's rock and roll, let's do this. And then luckily they were like, let's do it. And so now I'm here.
They're picking down what you're putting out.
Exactly.
They're
I got what you're saying.
Yeah. Whatever.
Plus, I'm a huge fan. Like the athletes that they have, their roster is stacked. So far, everybody that I've either encountered or have met are amazing, and I feel like that's what it's all about. And teamwork is, what makes the dream work. So anything that I can be a part of that kind of puts across that message, I'm all about. And so far, that's just like the vibe that I feel from this brand, and I'm really, really excited to be a part of it.
Anybody that is watching this, I would say, go check out Natalie's Instagram page. There's photos of some of the gear, some of your workouts, and getting back to the original topic, some of the hunting stuff, some of the bows and the other stuff like that. So that's kind of how I discovered that. Uh I even mentioned, I was like, I just want to kind of talk about hunting, which I thought
Yeah.
maybe some people don't want to, but you know, it's an interest of yours, and I have somewhat of a relationship with it, a familial relationship, but you know, it's a pretty, I think it's a pretty cool interest. Hopefully, you know, one day I would actually like to go out and do it, but
Oh my God, definitely. I think you would love it. I mean, I feel like everybody should try it at least one time just because it does make you feel differently about not only your food, but it just gives you a different appreciation for what you're eating. And on top of that, you know, I shot my first elk with a rifle, a Bagara, a 300 Win Mag, and then I just recently shot a bow for the first time. So shout out to Cameron Haynes and Hoyt because they hooked me up with a pretty sick bow, and so now I have that in me that I'm hopefully this upcoming elk season I can possibly go for it with shooting my bow. But talk about game changer. It just puts your mind like if you think or if you're feeling super busy and you have so much going on when you're shooting a bow, you're not thinking about anything else. It's just like you are dialed in, and it's pretty incredible.
I like that mindset.
Yeah.
uh I do want to talk a little wrestling.
Yeah,
uh
of
fa-
course.
Fans kind of got their first look at you on Total Divas. uh when you think about it, it was kind of unheard of to have you, you know, come into the company. You hadn't really trained or been on a show, and you kind of got thrust into this spotlight. uh how do you feel, like, looking back? Like, do you feel like the show gets the recognition it deserves now? Because, you know, it gave you a platform. It gave a lot of the roster a chance to grow and maybe get some TV time that they didn't have on regular WWE TV. There are a lot of positives that came out of the show. Do you still feel like it gets the recognition it deserves?
So I don't know if it necessarily it probably I don't know if it gets the recognition that it necessarily deserves, but I do think that it definitely put a whole nother spotlight and it brought in a whole other demographic into WWE. I feel like there's so many people that I meet where they're like, "Oh my gosh, you know, watching Total Divas, um, it made my girlfriend or my wife interested in wrestling." And so I
Mm,
think uh in that realm, you know, I think it did so much. And not only that, but it just kind of opened up that different demographic of people that normally wouldn't per se tune into a Monday Night Raw or a Friday Night SmackDown. I think, I mean, I'm really fortunate and grateful for the show because it definitely gave me a platform that I had no idea that it was going to give me. And it just really kind of peeled back the curtain, per se, of a WWE diva or now obviously superstar. So I do think that it kind of launched that kind of evolution
mm,
before the kind of everybody else kind of caught on, you know? So
mm.
maybe it doesn't get the recognition or the love that it um probably should get, but it did a lot, I feel like, for wrestling, and not only that, for the females as well.
Yeah. One thing you just kind of pointed out, and it's funny, it still happens where sometimes, whether it's me or one of my friends, like they'll be talking about wrestling, and like one of their spouses will be like, "Oh, who's that?" And we'll say like the person's wife or whoever was on the show, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I remember them." Like,
No, for sure. It happens.
especially like the Bree and Brian and
Yep. Oh my God, totally. So I think in that realm, you know, it did so much for just kind of like growing the brand and kind of the demographic for wrestling for sure.
one of my favorite storylines that you did. You avoided wrestling. You'd show up late. Uh, do you have
Yeah.
any favorite memories from that, or can you talk about maybe what the original like payoff for that was going to be, because it didn't end up
I
getting the
know.
payoff.
And you know what? That's one of those things where I don't really feel like my character got too many of those payoffs ever. However, I had such a good time because once you lean into your character, whether or not you created it or it was given to you or whatever that may be, as long as you lean into it, I feel like the fans can kind of feel that. And I think my favorite part though, I mean, besides me like getting stuck in traffic and stuff like that, in that storyline, I think was my storyline when I went back to NXT with Bailey.
Mm.
Um and being able to kind of tell that story was really fun. And also too, in wrestling, it's all about you need a good guy and a bad guy. And you want someone to boo or hate or despise, and then you want the good guy to love, to cheer for. And not everyone is going to be a that like strong. Everybody wants to be that just like kind of badass strong character, but also I think for me it was really fun to play totally not that, like completely polar opposite of anything but that. And I think that that's what's kind of fun about playing something that is so over the top and out of control.
When you came back, I think it was 2021.
Yep.
Did anybody ever, you obviously had a different direction with the Dewdrop stuff
Mm-hmm.
and the evolution. Did anybody ever say, hey, maybe we should pay off that original thing? Like maybe we could just say, oh, sorry, I'm late. Just something like, or I always thought that would have
There's
been fun.
that would have been gold. I feel like that would have been super great. And so many things get thrown around the writer's room, and uh, certain things are supposed to go a certain way, and then it's WWE TV, so sometimes they don't play out that way. But
Mhm.
I think that would have been a fantastic idea.
Unfortunately, you were released. Do you have any interest in going back, or do you have any like unfinished business in wrestling that maybe you would consider another run?
Of course. I mean, there's that door is always open. I mean, we're in constant talks. When I had originally left, I was filming my first lead action movie. So that door is definitely one of those things that is always always open, and I'm definitely uh down to always cause some trouble and stir up some things, that's for sure.
I'll have this be my last question because I know we're getting close to time, but what you just said kind of caught my interest. You said you were filming this project.
Mm-hmm.
I spoke with Lana CJ Perry not too long ago. She said something similar where she was filming Surreal Life when she left too, so she didn't really have time to process the release, and then it was more after she was done filming and she didn't have that other thing to keep her busy, that's when she started thinking about it. Is that something you went through too?
No, I you know what, it's one of those things where when I came back, even in 2021, it wasn't full time. So that was one of those things where it never I wasn't on like a full-time schedule. I was just doing
Mm-hmm.
TVs. So I didn't really have uh that feeling, which I totally understand. But I'm glad that I didn't, you know.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. It's just that popped into mind. We've covered a lot. Anything else you want to plug or get out there before we wrap it up here?
Um
Or where people can find you?
oh yeah, of course. All my socials are Natalie Eva Marie on across all boards. I am back gonna be active on my YouTube channel, so every Wednesday, look out for a brand new video. And then also to all my ladies, You guys know that I am a beast in the gym and tier when it comes to your sports bras and everything. The Jolie brand is like the sickest, plus anything that is high neck sports bras. So you don't have to worry about, your ladies or anything like that. And you can just get after your workout or run around town, do your errands, and you're set. And so obviously I live in workout gear and I live in this stuff and it's like butter. So I highly suggest you guys check them out. And if you need any references, all you got to do is click the link in my bio and I'll take you right there.
Couldn't have said it any better. Good luck with elk season coming up. And
Thank you very much.
I also wanted to say congratulations on 10 years of sobriety. I know that
Oh, thank you.
Keep up the good work. And look forward to seeing what you do next. It's been really good catching up with you today, talking about wrestling and everything else you have going on. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And yes, a day at a time. So I appreciate the birthday wish.